Insight. I've got with me today Lavinia, and we're going to talk about change and how change can suddenly come upon us and force us to change. And sometimes we have to, we change ourselves. But before we dive into that, where can people find you, Lavinia?
Oh, on LinkedIn. This is the best place to find me. You can find me at lavinia.club or in my name, laviniathanapathy.com. And I'm on all social media channels with the exact same name. So I'm easy to find.
Fantastic. And you're one of the LinkedIn top voices, aren't you?
I am indeed. I got lucky and LinkedIn found my account interesting and they named me one of their top voices in 2020. So I am fortunate to be one of LinkedIn's top voices indeed.
So why don't you give us some background about yourself, about your journey? Because you have a really you have change thrust upon you, don't you? Every couple of years because of certain circumstances.
Yeah. So, I started talking about change simply because I was living it so much. And I live it so much because I'm part of a diplomatic family. My husband is with Foreign Service, and that means that we constantly have a new situation every 4 years or so. We pack out our entire household and then we go to somewhere new that's being decided by someone else. And so I started to see, regularly as I looked around, very personally, that some people do this better than others. And then I started noticing that the things that people do better in their personal life, it's the same thing as companies do. Because change, you can have as much process and as much structure around change as you like, whether you're a company or a person. But at the end of the day, change is about people and how people cope with it. And we are geared to cling on to the things that we're familiar with. That's what we cling on to as
We
people.
do, and because you've got how many children have you got?
Five.
Five
I
children.
have five. Well, my husband and I have five, and yes, our children span a wide range of ages. Our youngest is about to turn 12. Our oldest will turn 32. So we have a really wide age gap between the children, and they are all over the world. They live some here in Berlin with us, and some in other countries around the world. So yeah, we are used to having a family that's very international.
And I've got friends who work for the equivalent in the UK. It's not 4 years; they actually go every 2 years because the foreign office actually moves them around. So but they've had some gone to some great places, Washington and Johannesburg and stuff. But the thing is that you have got to change. So how do you cope with this change that gets thrust upon you every 4 years or so?
I think it's the same for people, and I say this because I speak to a lot of companies around change. And it's some of the rules that I talk about, some of the things that the mindset shifts that help people, they also help companies. And one of the things that's really helpful is to stop thinking that anything is normal. There is no normal anywhere. Everyone has to look at their situation and look at it in the way that it is. And so when you let go of the idea that anything looks normal, that my family of five that moves around the world, we stop thinking of what is normal. And when we stopped doing that, we started to really look at what was rich, what was good, what gave us lots of different opportunities, and that changes the way you view things. And so one of the big ways that you can cope with change is to not think that the way it is today is the way it's going to stay forever. So once you accept that it's going to be crazy, that it's just going to be wild, then it's easier to accept the things that come. I used to be in events and I used to run very big events for large companies, and when I brief my teams, I'd always say something is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Something is going to go wrong. So if you're prepared for it and you know something is going to go wrong, when it happens, it just happens. This is part of the deal. If you're expecting perfection, it's much harder. So one of the ways to embrace crazy is to know that it's crazy.
That's good, really good advice. Yes, especially around live events and things like this, because you're always kind of on the edge of something going to go wrong. And I think and I think sometimes, certainly when we're doing something like this, people kind of expect or kind of support it, and go with it.
Right. Right, exactly. And the more you're willing to go along with it, like just to be willing to shift, to not hold on to too many things as sacrosanct in your life. You know, that you hold on to the things that you need. So one of the things that's helpful for me and for our family as we move around the world is stuff. You know, it's so weird, but we move with everything, like our whole house, everything, the lights, the furniture, the art, all of it. It all comes with us to wherever we're going. And having some things to hold on to that are familiar is actually very helpful. And it's the same for companies. You know, when companies go through a big period of change, one of the best things they can do is actually to focus on the things that stay the same, and that gives people something to hold on to. And for us, it's simple. We just move with all our stuff. So once all the stuff's on the wall, it's really easy to feel at home again because we're so accustomed. Once we put the stuff around and it's all there, this is home. Doesn't matter what's happening outside. This is now home. So it's the same. And companies need to do that too. The worst company changes I've seen are the ones where they decide to shake everything up all at the same time. And you can't do that. You want to give people something to hold on to. And if you're going through a period of change, that's my best advice to you. Find the thing that you'd like to hold on to. You know, little children have little stuffed toys, right? So my littlest, he has an Elmo. He has this really rotten, deteriorated, used to be red Elmo. And he carries it around the world with him. And that's his security. And whatever it is that gives you security, you can have your own Elmo, whatever that looks like for you. And for companies, make sure you're giving your employees some Elmos to hold on to too.
I guess it's like being on a train or on a bus or something like that. When the road gets rocky, you want to have something to hold on to. You know, like and it is, isn't it? It's something that you can hold and steady yourself.
Absolutely. And it's so important. And the other thing people rely too much on that I found is they rely on external, like outside things to inspire them or to motivate them or to get them going. And I found that the best thing to keep you grounded and to keep, for me at least, to keep
Yeah.
me grounded and to keep me looking forward, I look to myself for inspiration from time to time. And I don't mean that in this big ego way,
Mm.
but I know I've achieved things. And when I look back and I see the things that I've achieved, it reminds me that whatever is going on in my life, like maybe it was really rubbish today or this week or this month or whatever it was really rubbish. Something went wrong, things just did not click. I am reminded that I have done things and I have been able to achieve things, so I can do it again. I don't need to look at what other people are doing. I don't need to say, oh, Oprah Winfrey was able to do that, so, maybe I can too. I don't need that. What we want and what I hope that many people will look and remember from this is that you can do this for yourself. And the method I use to do this for myself is I have my shiny little corner method. And my shiny little corner method is actually a slide. And it's a slide that was created for me many years ago when I went to speak at a school. And these kids created this great slide. And they'd found all these pictures of me, in the media, meeting famous people and all this. And they put it together in this great slide. And since then, I've updated this slide from time to time. So when I have a new achievement, I put it up. I put it up on my wall. I put it up on my slide. And every so often, when I need that, when things are looking dire,
Yeah.
I go to this and I think, you've done this before, you've done this before, you can do it again. And that's something no one can take away from you. And this is the kind of solid grounding. It's not about having a huge ego. It's not about looking outside. You can do this real grounding work for yourself. And I encourage people to try this.
And I love this idea that the my shiny little corner. I mean, it's a it's. I mean, how do you when you well, what do you do when you do that? Is that do you just sit by yourself, or is it you kind of breathe in and look at the picture and feel the achievement that you've had in the past? Is that kind of what it is, like a meditation type feeling?
A little bit. Yeah, you're right. I never saw it as a meditation,
I
but
don't, I don't know. I just kind of feel, I'm kind of feeling it right now that that's probably the way that I would do it.
and I think that would really work. I never saw it that way, but now that you say it, I can see that that would be actually quite an effective way to do it. I do it more like, so when things are looking particularly bad, like I'm not a good tech person. So I've been
Right.
struggling with a new invoicing system. Okay, I'm sitting there and I just have this stack of things that I have to do, and my new VA isn't up to scratch. She isn't, she's not up, she's new. And so I have
Yeah.
to do this batch by myself. And in the future she will do it, but now I have to do this. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, no. And I'm sitting there really with this, no, I don't want to do this. And what I'm doing, I go back and I have a look at some of the pictures from clients that I've served and all of this and think, this is how I can do the work that I can do. If I do this rubbish, the stuff that I consider rubbish, all this admin, it helps me to get ahead. And I go back to my shiny little corner. I even have it on my wall. So here you can see on my wall here behind me, you can see that I have my top voices image and my top two. And congratulations, Tim, on also making the top 200 voices in leadership.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we're both on the same list. And I do these things, right? So I keep reminding myself when there is a, however small, however big the achievement, all your achievements add up to who you are. And you're allowed to be proud of those things. What you're allowed to do is showcase them. You don't always have to show off, but you can showcase them and use them. Use them for those moments when, yeah, and we all have them. There's no one in the world who's having a good day every day, all day. Nobody. There's no one. Every single one of us has crappy days. Every single one of us faces a day when we look in the mirror and go, oh my God, I could be so much better. I should be so much better. If only I was so much better. And we're all doing it. Every single person. So help yourself. And that's what I'd encourage everyone to do.
I think it's a great idea, and really, I think all of us go through change, through some, and as you say, some things are thrust upon us, um, and some things, the change we know that we have to make. I interviewed someone recently where she goes through a process probably about every 5 years where she says that she feels that there's this calling where she has to make a change in her life, and she doesn't know what it is, but there will be a change, and sometimes we do have to embrace it.
Right. And whether that change comes as a welcome change, as a, we plan that change, it's a change that we think is an upward change. So it might be a promotion. It might be a move to a new country where you're getting paid more, a new job, whatever the change is. It can be something signposted. So you planned it, you wanted to go there. If you're finishing university, you've got your degree, whatever it is, it could be a planned and welcome change. Doesn't change the fact that it is a change and that you still have to adjust to it. And we beat ourselves up about it because we think, well, this is a good thing. Why am I feeling like this? We feel like that because it is a change. And in a way, it doesn't matter whether it's a welcome change or an unwelcome change in that sense. Our mind still treats it as something taking us away from what is familiar. And anything that takes us away from what is familiar, we will be challenged by, and we will have emotions around. And that's okay. We just need the
And
words
we
to go
and
with it.
we and we have this, but there's this balance, isn't there, between the fact that habits are good. I mean, the famous one is that the Mark Zuckerberg and the Steve Jobs wore the same clothes every day because they didn't want to have to go to the wardrobe and say, "What am I going to wear today?" They just wore the same thing, and therefore, that they could concentrate on doing other things. So, in a way, that habit helps, but in other cases, habits don't help because actually we sometimes have to, like the reptile, shed our skin and actually move on to the next thing.
Absolutely. But some habits, that there are little they're background habits. Okay. I call them background habits. Things that you can do like for a really long time and not even realize that you're doing it. And one of them is constantly looking out for community or tribe or friends. It doesn't matter what you call it, okay? But constantly finding other people that share some greater interest. This is an amazing gift. If you're, and for people like me who have to move around the world all the time, I do this almost instinctively, and I didn't know until someone pointed it out to me that I was doing this. I build community everywhere I go, and I do this because it helps me to adjust every single time. Because when you have a community and you're working towards a goal that's not necessarily selfish, it might be a bigger goal on on anything, right? It's very, very helpful to take you out of yourself and into something bigger. When you're doing something bigger than you, you're always motivated to keep going. So I very much encourage everyone to have something that you're working on that's bigger than you, whatever bigger than you looks like. So I do a lot of work in ensuring that we have a better future of work for girls, particularly, because as much as we think it's equal, it's really still a challenge for girls in school and in the workplace. And this is a piece of work that I've been doing for a long time. And so I'm always looking for communities to be part of for that. I've also done a lot of work for in domestic violence and various other areas. And I'm always looking for communities to be part of so that I can make, even if it's a small difference, that I'm making a difference. And this bigger than you, this is something more people need to have. When you have something bigger than you, it's so much easier to get out of bed every morning, even on those days when you're having a really rough time.
I agree, and I think it's having that thing, as you say, as you describe, as bigger than you. And I do agree that sometimes getting out of bed can seem, the pressures of the world can seem that it's kind of pushing down on you, and especially over the last couple of years, and having this thing that you're able to grow into or grow with. And community is so important, because I think it's not trying to think. Community is a way of the way that we support each other, but community is also, it's something that, as humans, we're social. We want to be connected to other people, because we know that the only way that we were going to survive running on the savannah and not be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger was actually to have a community of us. It's
Right.
something that, it's a natural instinct to us.
Right. And we forget. We forget so easily, and it's good to embrace all the different parts of you. Look, I go out into the world, and as my husband's wife, quite often I have my own achievements. But when we go out into a posting, what people see is my husband's wife, or my children's mother, and I embrace all these different parts of me. I am quite happy going for morning coffee and playing mahjong. I can do this. This is no problem. I can also turn up at a conference and deliver a keynote. I can also stay at home and, have fantastic conversations with interesting people like you. All these things, I embrace all the different parts of me. I'm not defined by any one of those things, but all those things give me an opportunity to connect with different communities. And this is why when people say niche down, yes, you do need to have a niche that you are serving, but you should also not feel that you have to stifle different parts of yourself. What you need to do for your audience is often to connect the dots for them, help them understand how the different parts of you contribute to what you're delivering for them. And in that way, you get to be all of your rich self without having to just be a single dimension. So when people say niche down and everyone's like stressed, which part do I niche down on? You can do different things at different times, and that's all totally okay.
And it's about the harmony between all of those different points, and understanding that there is a harmony, and each time certain things go up and certain things go down. And I'm just making sure my hands are on the screen so people can see. And but it's about those harmony between those things.
Right. It's like, when they have those fancy decks, sound decks, and they're dialing up parts of it and then they're dialing down other things. That's exactly right. I love the way you used your hands on that one. My hands are all over the place, so, not helping everybody.
Well, they were below the screen, and then I realised that I couldn't see them.
That was fantastic, but exactly that. You want to dial. Sometimes things are going to dial forward, and sometimes they're going to dial back, and it's okay. All of it adds to who you are. And if you're finding your personal brand suffering a little bit, what you want to do is then use the opportunity to tell people your story. And that's one of the things I love about LinkedIn. It gives you the opportunity to tell that story, to connect the dots for people, and really have all the different parts of you show up. And so this is one of the things I love the most about LinkedIn, more than I like other platforms, because I feel like other platforms um, really reward you when you have a narrower focus for your message. But LinkedIn really does allow you to have all the other parts of you present as well.
I agree. I think it's an amazing platform at showcasing the breadth of you. I've done all kinds of interviews, based, this, I've done interviews about mental health, I've done interviews about sales, all kinds of things. And I think that you're rewarded for that. You're not, you can stay in your niche, but you can also broaden things out and talk to lots of different people. And again, it's about community.
Right. Absolutely. It's also a platform that really rewards conversation. So the
Yes.
people who are not doing well on LinkedIn, what they haven't got the hang of, and if you're not doing well on LinkedIn, have a look around at people who are good at LinkedIn. And one of the things they're doing is they're having lots of conversations.
Mm.
And that's what LinkedIn rewards. So even if you don't know what content to post, it's okay. Start with having a good comment strategy. Comment on other people's posts, engage in a conversation with other people, and this will get you going. You'll get the tenor of the place. You get the vibe of what's going on and what things you can contribute to, what parts of which conversations you can be part of. And from that, you will get the content that you're meant to post. So definitely have some conversations in the comment section, and that's a really good way to grow on LinkedIn.
Lavinia, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us and sharing your insight, and especially talking about your shiny little corner and stuff. I think is a great piece of advice for people.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today.
You're
I
welcome.
really enjoyed this conversation.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Lavinia.